You know what? I did the same
bigger.
thing. I did the same thing you did. Because look at, when you get into a jumbo that size, that's a pretty nice jumbo.
It's that's a nice fish.
That perch is probably about 3/4 of a pound. So why don't we get these in the live well?
Let's go fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing. When you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Yamaha, conquer outdoors. Insect Defend Patch, deep-free protection from biting insects. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922.
Shows the three faces, I come back out full screen, right? I do my confidence. Yep. For starting out and just trying to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't been out here that long.
No.
Not
It
bad
helps
at all.
to have friends, right? To give you advice on, like, where they've been getting
Absolutely.
fish. Good start.
That is a very nice
Sid,
fish.
look at the size of that fish for the first
yeah.
fish.
I can almost lip this one, Italo.
Yep.
Not opening his mouth. There, look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. That's a great way to start the day.
Yeah. Good
And I
sign.
found, Italo and I found that some of these fish were following. We haven't been here that long, but what I found was they weren't really kind of following and hitting on an aggressive popping motion. So I just slowed it down, kind of put it down near the bottom and just started kind of winding in very slowly, and that's when it hit. So, oh, you got one too. Oh,
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
You know what? I did the
It's even
same
bigger.
thing. I did the same thing you did.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm going to show you. I kind of not cheated, but what I did, I actually put on a plastic worm. I don't know if that worm looks familiar. That's like a 6-inch plastic worm from TriggerX.
I thought you cut that.
Yeah, I cut it down to about 4 inches. Now, the reason I did that, Rocky said he's been using a little goby that he pours, and it's brown with this kind of natural color, about 3 inches long. That's what he's been getting his biggest fish
right?
on. First thing I've heard on
Makes
Simcoe,
sense.
right? So sometimes he does some wacky stuff, but sometimes it works. So that could be a fluke, but I'm going to keep casting it, and it's about the
Absolutely.
length of yours. So why don't we get these in the live well, and
Beautiful fish.
we'll see if we can get a few more. This is an
These are
ocean
gonna be
boat,
very tasty.
Aaron. So we got the live well up front. It's not
Excellent.
like most boats where it's at the back.
Beautiful. I like it.
Sid, you can
what?
catch some fish too, okay?
No, I won't.
Okay.
It doesn't happen that way.
We'll see. I have the natural kind of emerald shiner look here, and you have a goby look. So we'll
I
see.
like it. There's a lot of shrimp, a large shrimp in Lake Simcoe. You've probably seen them if you've
Yep.
pulled weeds up, and that's what actually that looks like. So I like that. So we'll see. Maybe those were stoners. Nice
Wow.
fish. Hey,
That's a good fish.
First cast. I just put on the new TriggerX. I went with the pink head. I mean, I don't know how critical color is, but this is like very feminine. I've got a little bit of chartreuse, a little bit of orange, a little bit of pink.
Very
Big
nice.
hook. Nice fish.
That is a beautiful
Look at the
fish.
size of that mouth. I could almost put my fist down it. Just had another one on.
You're not going to believe this.
What do you got? Good perch?
Nope.
Look, nice sunfish.
It is a beauty sunfish. Look at that.
You know, I remember on Rice Lake seeing Americans that would come up and they'd have those baskets for the panfish, and they'd fish 2-3 hours and get, 30, 40, and then they'd be cleaning them for a couple of hours.
Yeah, the Corthers are absolutely full of panfish, sunfish, and bluegills and crappies. It's a good one.
Feels like a keeper, definitely. You know, I really like the colored line when you're trying to watch it, especially with the jig, almost like walleye fishing, when you're trying to see if you got a hit or not. Yeah, it's a keeper. You're gonna stay on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this particular line is a chartreuse color. I mean, you can go with a straight monofilament line, like Aaron's using, or Syd, but I like the idea of using the light braid and then using a piece of fluorocarbon at the bottom of it. Are you running your straight mono, Aaron, or do you have fluorocarbon on there at the bottom?
You have
Do you have fluorocarbon, or are you running straight?
Yeah, I have Suffolk Siege, but then I have a piece of fluorocarbon about 6 feet in length.
Because I'm using this bright yellow line, especially in the sun, and I've been wearing my sunglasses, you can actually watch the line a lot better. Because a lot of times you'll see just a flicker of the line, and that's a fish that grabbed it.
X-Mark, you find fish catch of the day.
Hey, it's Dan Smell calling in. Just want to tell you a story about catching my walleye there. It's about 11-pound walleye. We caught it up in Muskoka. It was a gorgeous day, and I was with my son. It was incredible. We caught 3 that day. One was 12 pounds. One was, I think, 9, and the last one was 6. So it was good, and had amazing time fishing. So incredible. And the app was just perfect, because when I was out, I actually had my iPad with me. I was messing around with actually the app at the time, so I was able to catch the fish and upload them to the app, which is amazing, and you can see the photos on the app if you go there.
Aaron, crank baiting for perch?
You know what? I thought I would try something a little bit different. It's a little countdown Rapala.
Yeah,
And look at that.
that's awesome.
I made about 5 or 6 casts with this little countdown Rapala, and here's the result right there.
Fish.
Not bad.
Fish for the live well.
You just never know.
That's
I mean,
a good Rapala. I've used it for trout, like brookies and stuff. I
Yeah,
think
it
that's
works
the
really good in the
3
streams.
It's the CD3, I think.
Yep, it is. This
3
is
centimeters, and it's deadly.
It is.
What a go.
This perch thought so.
Yeah, nice fish.
I just thought I would try something different,
Yeah.
you know.
Pays off to
Catching
experiment.
a lot of fish on the TriggerX forktail minnow, so
Yeah.
thought I'd try switch it up.
Well done.
Never know.
Good.
See how that works.
Live well's open for you.
Whoa, look at that.
Break
That's
your
a good
line.
one. That's even
Don't
bigger
break
than
your
this
rod.
Oh, please.
We're gonna put him in the
Beautiful
live well.
fish.
Yeah.
You're gonna eat that
I'm
guy?
gonna
This is
kiss
a good
right.
one.
I'll kiss him right now.
Is he big enough?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay,
It's perfect. Thank you.
May as well put this one in.
Oh, here,
Yeah,
another one
yeah,
for
pass
you.
him
It's
over.
a beautiful fish.
You know what? I got
you
a
go.
feeling we found him.
I
Syd,
think
is
so.
this where you wanted us to fish to begin with?
This is exactly where I wanted you to fish in the beginning, but of course, never happens that way. So
Now, how did you start perch fishing? Because I know you don't really care for all the big glamorous game fish, you know, the walleye and the bass and pike.
it's not me. It's my wife. She's the fisher person.
She got you into fishing?
Well, yeah, she's like, when I go in the boat, it's like driving Miss Daisy. Wherever she wants to go, she'll stop. There's fish here.
That's
this-
amazing. Now, you know, we've been fishing here for a few hours, and we haven't really found eating-sized perch. We saw all kinds, like hundreds of small perch, and we finally have found a bunch of perch. And here's what's interesting. And Aaron hit the nail on the head. Look at, he said that for some reason, they're around these rocks. Now, we're only in like 3 to 4 feet of water. My sonar says 3 feet. And this is our catch Most of these are in the last like 7 minutes. That's going to hold up Syd's biggest fish here. Because look at, when you get into a jumbo that size, that's a pretty nice jumbo. So he's not 12. I guess he's about 10 and a half, 11. So I got a feeling we're going to get some 12 inchers today. And they're such good eating and so plentiful, but hard to find. People have been complaining, Aaron, they can't find the big fish, just like us messing around,
Well, it took us a little while, but we finally found them. I mean, trying the weedy areas that met the sand and little weed patches, and that was a little bit challenging. We had a lot of little tiny fish, and they, the bigger fish just weren't there. So we kept moving around, and we finally found this little bouldery area.
Yeah.
I think we're hitting the nail on the head here, because it's a little bit better,
Yeah.
I think they're going to come on right here, and I think we're going to start catching a lot of nice fish. And the technique really makes a big difference. I found that the fast approach wasn't working, so I just slowed it down, and I basically just started crawling that along the bottom, the jig, and they just started hitting it. Bad.
Good eater.
I think we definitely found a good spot at Italo.
Yeah. Even though it's windy. That's one of the challenges on Simcoe, because it's such
It
a
is.
big lake. You can get blown off so easily.
Oh yeah. There
Good
it is
fish.
right there. That is a nice fish.
It's a solid 10 and a half,
Yep.
maybe 11. Good fish.
It is very challenging, definitely, with windy conditions, but
So why do you think Simcoe is such a productive lake for perch? It's always been.
you know what? I think it's a big prolific lake for one, and there's just so much food here for them. I think that
The water's clear. It's one of our clearest lakes. And we're using pretty bright colors. You can see Aaron's using that chartreuse, like silver.
Yep.
And I'm using this one. It's almost fluorescent. Look how bright that is.
yeah, that's really bright.
So even though the water's really clear, we don't have to go to light colors. Aaron started with like it was a clear flake, and you got a couple fish.
Well, I thought, the water was gin clear,
Yep.
right? So I thought natural color, right? But that wasn't the case
They're
at all.
perch.
I mean,
They're aggressive.
yeah, the brighter colors definitely were the ticket today.
Fisher girl! Catch the passion! Now, for those of you that like to float fish in shallow water, I'm going to show you the easiest way to make your own stationary float. And all you need is a balsa wood float and a toothpick. So you take your float, you position it where you want it on the line, and just lightly push it in. And there it is. It's stationary. You can move it up or down a little bit, and it won't damage your line.
You know what? It's simple but extremely effective.
Absolutely.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Arctic Armor. Warm, dry, alive.
On an average, 200 people a year die in Canada as a cause of cold water immersion. Half of these are fishermen that are boat fishing when the water's cold. But it's been found that only 1 in 5 of these people that have drowned were wearing any kind of personal flotation device. So take some advice from me, because I fish cold water, warm water. Always, if you're going to be fishing, especially out of a boat in cold water condition, wear a full body suit that floats. And if you can, wear an Arctic armor that's thermally insulated and it also floats. That way you'll be comfortable and you'll be safe on the water.
What do you want?
A sandwich fish.
Well, that's a nice one.
Very nice.
Sid, this is awesome.
You always catch a nice big fish when you eat a sandwich, don't you?
I think he wants some.
Sid's wife, Ellen, makes these delicious sandwiches. Says, Sid, if you want to fish with us, you got to bring the sandwiches. There's some kind of special beef salami.
That's right.
And I thought we were eating it, and here you are,
There you go.
fasting and eating.
Thank you very much.
Eating nice perch.
Thank you.
I mean, you got style. Here, let me
Thank
get
you.
some.
Thank
some
you
perch
very
on the
much.
Sandwich. Here.
Thank you very much.
There you
Thank
go.
you very, very much.
It's kind of nice. Kind of like having a picnic in the boat. You know, we just had a nice lunch. It's nice and warm out. Started casting again. We gave the fish a break. And they're still here. Nice eating size perch. Now, the one thing that all three of us are doing, we're using ultralights, which is a blast. So we've got a few series. You know, when you're getting different panfish, whether they're rock bass, big bluegill, or nice sized perch like this, if you use lighter outfits, you could use your average fishing outfits like your medium action. This is by Rapala, it's called an F2, and the F stands for finesse, the 2 for 2-piece. And the rods are very flexible. You can see if I pull on it, this one is about 5 feet long. I've got one that's 4.5. Which one are you using, Aaron?
I have the 7-foot F2.
Okay.
I've been using that most of the day.
Because I find for sensitivity, it's better to use the lighter rod. And also when you get a fight, you know, it feels like you got a nice fish on. You can feel everything instead of just
It
bringing
does it
in.
ever.
And if you're using the right size grubs and jig heads like we are, you know, 1/16, 1/8 ounce, when you're casting light lures like that, you really should be using a lighter rod that's matched for it. And if you check on rods, they actually tell you the weight of the lures that they're rated for. So with all of these rods, because they're either light action or ultralight, they're rated for pretty light jigs, which is great.
Italo, I got that on the exact same lure
thing?
that you got. The natural colors.
It's funny, we moved back to the spot, just off the point, good size.
And the natural colors too.
Yeah, yeah.
They were funny. They were hitting the really bright colors earlier on today. And now they seem to really switch on to those natural colors.
Yeah. Maybe because of the bright sunny skies.
I think
but they're
so.
just moving on and off. That's the problem. They're not staying in one spot. Good fish.
Yeah. Good eater size.
Yep.
Yeah, I think now that the sun's directly overhead, they're really onto the natural colors. So it only took me about 5 or 6 fish that Italo caught before I'm like, okay, I got to switch over.
Subtle changes. Yeah. In North America, there are 1 million of fishermen that use terminal tackle every year. What I mean by terminal tackle is all the small connections, hooks, sinkers, snaps, and so on. Well, most of those sinkers that are used are made out of lead. The only problem with lead is it's very toxic. And it's fine if you just use it, but if you lose it, it could be harmful to wildlife and even fish. So there are alternatives on the market. Believe it or not, there are companies like in Europe where they've actually taken stones and they've made them into fishing weights. They're not as heavy as lead, but they still work. And if you lose them, they're just part of the environment. But you can also use things like tungsten or bismuth or brass or copper. So next time you're shopping for your terminal tackle and you're looking for sinkers, try to use a lead alternative. It'll be better for the environment. When I fish for panfish, I like to use a sensitive, short, ultralight rod. And one thing that I really like doing is using a knot that has a loop in it. I don't like using a snap, especially with light jig heads when I'm making a very delicate presentation. I like to use a knot that allows the lure to swim freely. Whether I'm casting a small grub and retrieving it slowly, I want to get as natural as action from that lure as possible to fool those big panfish.
My tip is not so much about confidence, but it has to do with practicality. When I'm fishing, I'm not fishing in the morning, I'm not fishing late at night when the fish are biting. I'm fishing like from 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they don't want to eat. So what I'm doing is I tip my jig or my bait with worm, and then my secret is I use a half of a grub and I put it on here, and it holds the worm tight. And I'll tell you something, I get more grubs gone and more worms saved. Lots of bites, but when they bite big.
Something that gives me a lot of confidence fishing for panfish is using fluorocarbon leaders about 6 feet in length that are light, about 4-pound test. Another thing is the jig head. I like to use 1/8 of an ounce jig heads or less because I get a nice subtle fall in the water and that triggers a lot of bites. So keep that in mind next time you're out in the water.
You know, Syd's sticking to his jig and the worm combination. Aaron and I have been changing up baits. And we're not sure, yeah, it's a good, don't fall off. Good. That's perfect for a perch that big. Now, that perch is probably about 3/4 of a pound. What's that splashing back there, Aaron? Hey,
it's a nice
you know
perch.
what? They're almost the same size.
Almost.
Look at that nice, bright TriggerX. I can see it.
Oh.
Good fish.
I just changed up the color.
You know what I'm amazed? That we're not breaking fish off. You know, when you
I
get
have
into
4
light
pound,
leaders
yeah.
like that. So it says a lot about the leader material.
Yeah,
Good
definitely.
fish.
I really like the Suffix fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
It's really strong.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that's a nice fish.
You know what's interesting? Most people wouldn't come out on a day like today because the wind is so strong from the west. But we're lucky because we found this landmass, and thanks to Rocky telling us that he caught fish here about 2 weeks ago, the fish are still here moving on and off. And look at the size of these. These are quality jumbo perch. Whether it's like ice fishing size perch, that's a quality fish. Big fillets.
I like it.
You got a smile on your face. Your family's
I do,
gonna eat
man.
good tonight, right?
This is a beautiful fish. I
You were
love it.
saying that your older son likes to eat
He
fish?
loves fish. He's 4 years old, Braden, and he's gonna absolutely dine tonight.
Do you have any secret recipe you want to share with the viewers? Like as far as a coating or a batter that you use?
I do use Fish Crisp a lot, and I also have my own coating that I like to use.
You're not going to share that? It's on a to-know basis?
It's a good family secret.
Okay, good, good.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. Yamaha, Conquer Outdoors. Insect Defend Patch, deep-free protection from biting insects. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922.
So this guy walks into a fishing store and says to the salesperson, I want to buy some gear. But the person who was buying had one arm. The guy said, how do you fish with one arm? He says, well, give me a pull. So I give him a pull, and he says, I stick it between my legs like this, and I get the hook on this side and put it on my mouth. I get a worm, put it on here like that, and I cast it. He said, well, how do you catch it? So I put it back in there, and I go like this and like that. The guy said, that's fantastic. Have you ever caught any fish? And the guy said, yeah, last week I caught one that big.